Hi second graders, it's Mrs. Burke, and I'm going to be now showing you a video that is going to be an overview of all of your addition strategies. So just like the subtraction video, if you didn't watch that, that's a separate video that shows subtraction strategies. But just like that, we'll solve the same equation. Here we're going to be solving 438 plus 124, but we're going to solve it this time using 6 different strategies. So you have been learning a lot this year, second graders. Some of them might be more familiar than others, or you might have had more practice with than others, but I'll show you all of them. And you can kind of practice the ones that you need a little more work with, or use the ones that you really feel comfortable with. So we're going to start first with the traditional method, also known as the standard. So with 438 plus 124, I want to make sure all of my digits are lined up in the correct place value. So you can even add this as just a little helpful organizer, but 438 plus 124. So now I'm ready to add these up. Now I'm going to add from my smallest place value first, which is my ones place. And when I add 8 plus 4, I get 12. But I can't put both the 1 and the 2 in my answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down the number from the ones place in 12, which would be the 2. And I'm going to regroup or carry over the 1. So you can see my 12. 1 10, 2 ones. So now I have 3 10s plus 2 10s, or 3 plus 2, which is 5. But I'm also going to add in that one that got regrouped, which would be 6. And then I have 400s plus 100, or 4 plus 1, which equals 5. So my sum is 562. All right? So we're going to hope that we get that same answer for every strategy. That means we didn't make any errors. So now we're going to try the strategy known as the inventive algorithm. And for this algorithm, we set it up starting similar to our traditional 438 plus 124. And just like traditional algorithm, we're going to start with our ones place. And when I add 8 plus 4, I get 12. But this time, since it's the inventive algorithm, I'm allowed to put both the 1 and the 2. I'm not going to be regrouping or carrying over. Now I'm going to move over to my tens place. And I'm going to add 30 plus 20. 30 plus 20 is 50. So I'm going to add that to the parts that I'll be adding at the end. And last, I move to my hundreds place. 400 plus 100 is 500. So now the 3 parts that I'll be totaling is 500 plus 50 plus 12. Or you can add them according to place value. So I have 2 ones, 5 plus 1 is 6 tens, and then 5 hundreds. And again, we get the answer 562. Okay, so that was the inventive algorithm. Now we'll move to my favorite, number discs. And number disc is great for our visual learners. And it's also a good idea to be as organized as possible. So I always like to have my hundreds, tens, ones chart. And whenever I'm putting my circles or my discs, I always like to organize it like a 10 frame because it's easy for my brain to quickly see numbers. So first, I'm going to represent my first number, 438. So that would be 4 hundreds, 3 tens, and 8 ones. And my 8 ones are going to be organized like a 10 frame, nice and neat. 5 plus 3 is 8. So that's 438. Now with subtraction, we stop there. We don't represent the second number, but since this is addition, we're going to also draw discs for our second number, 124. Okay, now as always, I start with my smallest place value, which is my ones. And I'm going to count the total. Right now, I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I know that for every group of 10, I can regroup it to the next place value. And I do have 10 here. I have more than 10. So I'm going to take 10 of them. So this is 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to loop them. And then I'm going to show that that 10 is being moved to the next place value. And I'm going to represent this change with a new disk. Okay? So how many are still left in my ones? 2. Now I'm going to count up my 10s. I have 3, 4, 5, plus the 10 we just regrouped would be 6. And over here I have 4 plus 1 is 5. And again, I get the sum 562. All right. Now we're moving on to the arrow method. In the arrow method, there's many different ways to do this. So remember, it's 438 plus 124. So I'm going to start with my 438. And first I'll add my hundreds. I need 100. So plus 100 would bring me to 538. Then I want to add 20. 538 plus 20 would bring me to 558. And then if I add my 4 ones, if you know how to change over to your next place value, we'll do this one 2 different ways. You could add all 4. So this is going to need a little bit of a regrouping, but 558 plus 4 brings me to 562. So we actually had a change in our tens. Or I could have done it like this. 438 plus the 100 brings me to 538. Like before, plus the 20 brings me to 558. But I also can break up these 4 ones. I can make the jump plus 2 to make it a little more friendly. If I add 2, I'll get 560. But then I still need 2 more ones. And that would bring me to 562. And a really important step at the end is make sure you added the correct number. So I needed to add 124, 124. Good. Let me check the bottom. 100, 120, 122, 124. Okay, moving on to our 5th strategy. I told you, you guys learned a lot this year. We have expanded form. So I'm going to write my equation over here, 438 plus 124. And I'm going to stretch out by place value my 2 numbers. So 438 can also be represented as 400 plus 30 plus 8. And now I'm going to stretch out my 124 or expand it. 100 plus 20 plus 4. And now I'm ready to add up my place values. 8 plus 4 is 12. 30 plus 20 is 50. And 400 plus 100 is 500. So 500 plus 50 is 550. And then I'll even write it like this. And then 550 plus 12 equals 562. So that's our expanded form strategy. And now for our last one, which this is a strategy we use a lot when we're working with small numbers, especially like less than 20, sums to 20, or even sums to 100. This strategy is a little trickier as our numbers get larger, but it's still possible. So if you're a fan of number bonds, I'll show you one strategy with that. So we have 438 plus 124. So similar to expanded form, I'm going to stretch out this number into parts. 438 and 124. And I'm going to look to see if I can make any number bonds to make a friendlier number. And here I have this 8. And a really much easier number to work with would be 10, right? So I want to make this a 10 by bonding it with a part from this number. So I know I can break my 4 into 2 plus 2, right? And if I take that 2 right there, I just made, I mean, that's a terrible circle, so let me make that a little bit better. I just made that friendlier 10. So now I have 400 plus 30 plus 10, which equals 440. And I'm gonna add it to what's left over here. I have 100 plus 20, but I can't add this 4 anymore because remember I took 2 from it to give it to the 8. So I just only have 2 left. So 122. And when I put those together, I'm gonna get 562. So like I said, this one might be a little tougher the larger our numbers get, but it's still possible. Okay, so these are all of the addition strategies you've learned so far. I'm gonna show you this reference sheet, which shows everything I just did. I'm gonna post this to Seesaw also, so if you wanna print it out, maybe make yourself a little folder that has all your super strategies. That could be really helpful with the coming up lessons, okay? So I'm so proud of you. Keep up the great work, and you're doing awesome. And I'll see you on Thursday for another math video. Take care, Stewart School.